Hello, everybody, and welcome to another daily chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby. Hope everyone's doing all right this Sunday evening. God, we've had some rubbish weather, haven't we? Really, really bad. It's currently pouring down with rain outside while I'm sitting in front of the computer here. Just to let you know, while you're actually listening to this, I'm actually at Heathrow Airport. This is a pre-record, so I will not be able to interact with you as an audience because I'm not here, but obviously please interact with each other. And I've scheduled this to go out at 9 o'clock. So if everything worked as it should, from your point of view now, it should be 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, what I wanted to do today is do something a little bit more constructive than just the usual reading the comments. I've seen a few people online where we've been discussing this situation with regard to cost of living, being quite concerned about council tax, one of the bills, along with gas and electricity. Now, council tax is considered in the eyes of the law which they make us all go by as a priority bill. In other words, if we don't pay it, we'll lose something. And usually that means our freedom or our TV or something like that. I very rarely hear of people going to prison because of non-payment of council tax. It never really gets that far. I think I heard a little old lady about 10 years ago was the last one to go to court because of it. There's those out there that say council tax is an illegal debt. You shouldn't have to pay it at all. And a lot of people don't and probably get away with it. But there is a high percentage of people out there in the general public that do pay their council tax, or at least try to. Now, human nature being what it is, when we get behind with a bill, we end up accruing some arrears and sticking our head up our arse and not doing anything about it. And then the problem accumulates and accumulates and accumulates, and then it gets passed on to other people. I am going to do a live stream about how to deal with varying bits of the credit card and loan process at another point, but I thought I would start with council tax. Now, the end point with anything of this nature is court. If you ignore it, if you ignore the debt collectors, if you ignore all of their attempted recovery action, you will end up in court. With credit cards and loans, it's still fairly winnable, and to an extent council tax is, because as I will reveal in other videos, not all is as it may seem. The whole idea with all of these things is to prevent them going to court in the first place. And to do that, you can carry out some very simple action very, very quickly. And today we're going to concentrate on council tax. Now, the way the council tax process works, you get given a bill, and we're going to assume that you're not on benefits. You're paying the full amount of council tax for your property. You pay it. You miss a month, you'll get a reminder. You miss another month, you'll get another reminder. If you miss another month, you'll get a court summons. Now, I will go into those in more detail at another point, but, that's the process. If you then ignore what it says in the court summons, which will generally be a last attempt at a special arrangement, then what will happen then? It will go to a debt collector. Once it's with the debt collector, your life will become hell with knocks on the door and all the rest of it. There is a way of dealing with those too, which of course I will cover at some other point. But let's look at today how we can prevent this spiraling out of control. Now, full disclosure, first of all, folks, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an accountant. I don't have any financial qualifications. The only qualifications I have are as a Microsoft certified professional when I worked in the IT industry for a great many years. Everything that I'm bringing you today can be considered advice. And as far as I'm concerned, it's sound advice because I've used it, it works, and I've helped other people do the same as well. So hopefully I can use this to try and help you too. So let's go to it, shall we? I'll tell you a story first of all, so we can put it into some context. I've been with my current partner for many, many, many years. My wife, Dawn, who I've mentioned on the channel. And when we were separate individuals living in our own houses before we ever met, we were a pain in the arse with regard to council tax. We never paid it and built up arrears after arrears after arrears. And what happened at a point, we got together, moved in together, and a separate council tax account was created for the pair of us, and on we went. All of a sudden, we started getting these letters through from our previous lives. You know, you owe this council tax, you owe that. And it got into a very, very big, confusing state. So I thought, shit, what am I going to do about this? And back then, I didn't know anything about any of the council tax regulations. So I set up payment arrangements. Now, with councils, when they set up payment arrangements, they have very strict guidelines to go by to try and get the problem out of the way within 6 months to a year. And inevitably, they will make a demand of you, which is unaffordable, which will send you below what's called the government poverty line, i.e. you can't afford your basic outgoings because of what's going on. Now, if you take it and roll over, you can end up in all sorts of trouble, and you can end up in a situation where you just can't afford to pay the payments plus all your bills and put the food on the table. And imagine if you've got kids involved as well, it can get even more stressful. Now, this is where this comes in. Every single council has something called a Section 13A officer. They don't want you to know about these Section 13A officers, and you have to go digging to find contact details and the very existence of Section 13A in the first place. Now, Section 13A of the Act, what that does, that grants a council a set of discretionary powers to deal with things outside of their normal regulations, particularly to do with council tax. Now, if you get into a position where you've built up a load of arrears to do with council tax, and you want them to make a decision using these discretionary powers, you have to ask them. Now, what happened in my case, I had 3 separate council tax accounts, one where I was up to date, which was our current one, and 2 where I was paying off arrears from what I refer to as our previous lives. And COVID struck, and my airport business just completely ground to a halt, and we were in all sorts of shit. And I remember taxi driving is very frugal. One part of the month you can be rich, and another part of the month you can be skint. And when everything kicked off, I think I had about 300 quid to our name, and that was in my wallet, in my pocket. And I put that in my wife's hand, and I said, that feeds us. All other concerns are secondary. In other words, fuck the bills. I didn't know what was going on any more than anyone else did. So then I got to thinking, right, what are we going to do? So I went through all our finances, and when I turned around and looked at the council tax, I discovered the existence of Section 13A. And I thought, what I need to try and do is get rid of these arrears. That would help a great deal towards our situation and get us back on an even keel. So I effectively used the coronavirus as an excuse. And I wrote them a letter and basically set out, my business is on its arse. It's likely that these arrears are never going to be paid. And I want you to use some discretion in looking at our situation and either reducing it or giving us a break or some other action. Now, the shock of my life, I actually had a situation where they completely wrote off all of the arrears and left me with a completely clean slate, which today we keep up with. Now, I do believe that the existence of my 2 young children at the time, I mean, my eldest, he's 18 now and out in his car. He was 15, 16 at the time. I believe that had some bearing on it, the welfare of my kids. So Section 13A got rid of it. There are other avenues that you can explore as well. if you have any disabilities, if you have any ailments, mental health issues, or you're going through a particularly bad financial patch, you can also employ the use of financial Section 13A and obviously see if there's any other financial assistance you can get. Now, I've been asked time and time again if I can provide a template letter for Section 13A. Now, at about 20 past, 9:30, if you look in the community section of, this channel, I've actually put the template letter for this process in there, and you can copy and paste that and use that and doctor it however you like. People have asked for that, so I will put it in there. Now, for the benefit of this live stream, I'll share the screen with you now, and then we can go through it together. I'll just pull it up. Okay, let's pull that up to the top. I'll just come back to StreamYard and make sure you can see that as fully as possible. Okay. You might have to zoom in a little bit on your own screens, but I'll run through it. Right, so like any letter, it starts off with your name and address, the council that you're writing to, and it's very important that you say formal request under Section 13A to reduce or write off council tax liability along with your number. You must say that. So it alerts them to what it's all about. I write to make a formal request to the council to consider using its discretionary powers under Section 13A of the Local Government Finance Act 1992 to discharge my council tax liability obligation, which is outstanding due to a variety of justifiable and conscionable reasons. The request is made because it's clear that the liability is in all probability never going to be paid. The amount demanded is liable to force me to live on an income below the government poverty threshold. The UK government, the European Union, and many other countries use 60% of median household income as the poverty threshold. I accept it is the authority's discretion alone to exercise this privilege under the above-mentioned law, but I make this request to you in writing as my very last resort to resolve this long-standing issue, and it's my utmost hope that we can come to this arrangement mutually and agreeable to all concerned. Now, that is the standard bit that you put in every time. You must put that in word for word. The last paragraph, you put your own personal bit, what you believe is your situation, which justifies you making that request, and then send it off. Now, one or two things may happen. They may say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to write it off. We're going to reduce it. We're going to give you a break. They might write back and say, I want to see a breakdown of your finances, and then we'll make a decision. Or if it's mental health, I want to see a breakdown of your mental health situation. And, whatever the situation is, they can act differently according to what's going on. You just do what they say and then go through the process. And then hopefully, they will do something for you. But it is important, it is vitally important. Do not sit and wait. Do not don't take any action. Don't ignore it. It's not going to go away. It is not going to go away. In fact, it will get worse if you ignore it. Stab on it quick, deal with it, and get it done. Now, this short presentation is for those that are of the view the council tax has to be paid. This short presentation is for those that are in trouble and want an alternative to try and reduce the problem that they've created for themselves. This presentation is to show you how to deal with the problem using the laws that they put in front of us. There are those that come out, straw man laws and all the rest of it and say, oh, you don't have to pay council. There's many out there that haven't and won't and get away with it. And, that's down to them. But this is to help those people. Now, just to say, I don't condone ever not paying your way. I don't condone ever, wheedling out of issues. You should pay your way if you can afford to pay your way. And we're going to get in a lot of trouble with all of our household bills and the cost of living. And I notice fuel's gone up again as well. And we need to learn the law. We need to learn what can help us and what can't help us, and how we can use it to our advantage to get through this thing we're all going to face. And this is just one small sample of it. Now, I'm going to do credit cards and loans, specifically how you deal with them if they get sold onto a debt collector. I've got 2 or 3 cases going on at the moment that I'm helping people with on that particular subject. And I will show you that information in another live stream very soon. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will do my best to respond. If you don't get a timely response, I do apologize. I will get you, I promise. I will work out when I will do the others. Those will come as soon as I can do them. Just to come away from that subject as well, there is going to be a live stream very soon where I'm going to be doing a collaboration with another YouTuber. I'm not going to tell you who it is just yet, but it is in the works. And I need to contact the guy and do a test run and make sure everything is okay and will work fine. And I'll bring that news to you soon. If you like what you've seen, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. And please share this content with others, because it is very, very useful and it could help somebody. Right, I'm going to go. And as I said, you're probably watching this while I'm at Heathrow Airport. Have a good evening, everybody. Stay safe and warm. I'll see you tomorrow. Toodaloo.